Welcome to the Face Podcast. Fans, art, community, expression.
All right, cool. So, welcome to the Face Podcast. This is episode 1 with my friend Kowski here. So we'll get rolling on it. Kowski, give me some basic background on yourself, kind of pre-Veefriends.
Pre-Veefriends, I went to school, SUNY Albany, majored originally in business, switched to psychology, graduated with English, floundered around for a while not knowing what career I wanted to be in, went through being a waiter, selling insurance, then went into the regulatory side of insurance, had a few kind of odd jobs here and there before I eventually fell into IT, working at an Apple store where I found and developed my passion for tech, or maybe not found, but developed my passion for tech, and that is where that kind of led me into being an IT professional today.
So do you think, did you like doing different things? Because I'm kind of the same way. I ran a different, had to figure it out. Like I did psychology, I went into math, I did all this stuff. I mean, is it kind of, do you think it helps you now, like an IT side, knowing different places you've gone through and whatnot?
I think it helped cross things off. Like, I hated insurance regulatory consulting. Like, I would never, ever fill out an application, go to an interview. Like, I mean, maybe if it was like, if someone's going to give me $1 billion to do so, I shouldn't say never ever. But that's the line, that it's like that's what I think of to get me to do it. So, I didn't know that before I did it for like almost a year or so or whatever it was. So, yeah, I mean, I'm much more defined as a person. There's no longer that curiosity around like what could I do? What could I not do? What am I willing to do for money? And where's that combination of what I'm willing to do and what I'm good at? I could have been good at insurance regulatory consulting. It's not like I didn't have the capacity to do it, but it was so boring and I couldn't do it.
Yeah. No, totally. I get that. So what got you into Veefriends? Where'd you end up kind of getting into Veefriends?
Gary V got me into Veefriends. I am a longtime Gary V fan and follower. I don't even remember when, pre 2013, I think, because that's when I graduated college. I feel like I do remember following Gary in college, sometime around there. I feel like high school, no, college, yes, but I don't have the best memory with these things. I just know a long time I've been following Gary V, long enough to watch and perhaps regrettably fade the Series 1 mint. I say regrettably because I don't really believe in regret, but if I did, that might be one of the moments.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think attracted you to Veefriends itself? Because I'm a longtime Gary V follower too. For some reason, I know why, but I stepped away from like his stuff for a little bit while I was starting my business, and I missed that part of the very start of Veefriends. But do you think it was the attraction to what he was doing with the program, or what do you think?
It's probably my passion for cartoons and Pokemon and anime.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in whatever the coolest, latest cartoon is, so to speak. I mean, really anime more so. I guess not regular cartoons,
Yeah.
anime cartoons, or animated productions that are at the anime level. Um, Veefriends isn't quite that yet, but I saw that spark when he said like, I'm building Sesame Street meets Marvel meets Pokemon, and I don't really see the Marvel side honestly, but I see the Sesame Street meets Pokemon, and I'm like, okay, I could do. I mean, that's really it. Like that Sesame Street meets Pokemon, I'm in. Like I recently became a dad, 3 years ago, so it's like Pokemon for me, Sesame Street for my daughter, and then we'll kind of meet in the middle as she grows up.
Yeah.
That's where it's at for me.
That's cool. And what'd you find the most interesting? Like for me coming in, I saw, obviously there's already a bit of established community, but do you think that's a big piece of it now for you more than when it started?
Is what?
Community.
So community is a funny thing to me. It's funny you asked me about that.
Yeah.
I have went through a mental reflection, perhaps battle, simulation understanding of this word community. I, as a person, struggle with anything that's not highly defined. I don't like anything that's vague personally. And to make that clear, like if I say there's a tree outside, you're not gonna picture a car, right? You probably wouldn't even picture a bush. But if I say there's a community outside, we're both picturing a different number of people. They could be dressed differently. They be acting differently. Like, what does that mean? Definitely not as clear as there's a tree outside. And even if I say a tree, I get there's tons of different types of tree, but I could work with that. Community goes way further than the bounds that tree has, to the point where I'm like, why is this even a word? Like,
Yeah.
what good is this doing for us as a society and as communities, that this is so vague? So is the community a big piece of it for me? I'm still going to say yes. It's a huge piece of it for me. But what is community to me when I say yes to that? Community for me has become basically, the maybe 10 to 20 or, so people that you're closest to, that share a common passion and interest. For a while, I was thinking we're all the community, and like I felt like this impetus to, like, we have to find a way to all connect the community because we're all the community and we all have to network together and we all have to get past our differences and work things out and be friends or at least acquaintances, like get past the
Yeah.
strangers phase. Because that's what a be friends is, getting from strangers to acquaintances. So I'm like, let's at least get there. Let's at least get everyone there. And then, not everyone's into that. And I thought we all were, I guess, which sounds ridiculous, but for a moment at the height of NFTs and VCon and NFT NYC, it was like that for like this little hot flash in the pan. Everyone sort of was down to be all kind of one big family. And even if like there was lots of different stuff about us, it didn't matter. But I guess with anything, as time goes on, that does start to matter. The hysteria fades away. We were in this like mass excitement period, and maybe it took me a little bit longer to catch up to what community is and isn't, compared to this like hysteria thing that I thought was going to last forever. But yeah, community is a huge part of it. I focus on building, personal connections and as many like one-on-ones and trying to do group things. We have a little sub community in New York, Veefriends NYC. I help kind of keep that together. Me and Ross, we kind of run that a little bit. Take input from people, but we kind of are the backbone of making sure it happens. So yeah, community is a huge part for me, even though it can be vague.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely get that. And as it's grown, for sure, you kind of get this, and you and I probably talked about it before, is like the definition of community and versus, what's, it's almost like, is it turn into this little, small city of people, an individual side of it where, some of them, but not all of them, but they're still part of something similar. Yeah, it's definitely a interesting thing as it changes and grows, and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I think, what do you, out of anything with VFriends, what do you think is the most important thing in VFriends?
That's also vague.
Yeah.
Important to me,
Important to
important
you. Important to
financially.
you, I think, is the first part.
For me, it is, well, it's become the comics. Before the comics came out, it was number one, the IRL events that are both hosted by the brand and the community events, or
Right, right.
people throwing their own, non-sponsored events. Because I don't have a lot of people that are still in my town, or well, I guess I don't live in the town I grew up in, right? So it's like I still live on Long Island, but I'm further away from where I grew up, and a lot of my some people live in the city here, there. It's not so easy for me all the time to have things to do, to the point where sometimes it's actually easier to like get on a plane, every 3 months, or like make a
Right.
long drive, or like go to these like bigger events. And then, we're all in the same boat where like, maybe we have our own little things at home, but we'd all like to get together and do something and have a group of people to get to do, something with and get together with. Like, I don't have all my high school friends going on a cruise with me. Like, I never did that. That's not how my group worked out. Or I guess some of my friends did go on vacations. I never went with them. I don't know. It didn't work out with me and them like that. But I did kind of want that. More at like not the level we were doing it at in high school, where it was just to like get really drunk and like that kind of fun, where it's like, okay, I'm a dad now, I have a wife, maybe I'm doing this with other people who have kids, maybe we bring our kids, maybe we don't, but it's like more of a family type vibe and like some drinking and fun, but like not the type my friends were having, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Definitely a different vibe, but a good vibe, for sure, for sure. And what about, as far as product that, VFriends obviously coming out with constantly different things, right? You said comics are definitely seem to be a focus now. Is there anything you think they need to focus more on in VFriends?
I think it would be great if they focused more on sponsored community events. That way, it's also more clearly defined what community is, because everything that happens outside of sponsorship, yes, it's community, but it's also can sometimes be seen as a clique, because if someone doesn't want someone there, right? It's not a company, it's just a person. If someone doesn't get the word out, doesn't tell someone just didn't even hear about it. There's all these little nuances where it's there's less exposure and also less inclusiveness. So I think it's cool if they do more, you know, to sponsor maybe some of these community events, or maybe help people raise money or something like that, or maybe have a there's an entry, and if they get a certain number of people, this is the type of venue they could get for an hour, or like just a middleman facilitate. Like people could still pay, and it's not like they have to do everything and pay everything and financially sponsor everything, but kind of just putting a little thumbs up and maybe sending one person from the team or something like that. Throw some stickers around here and there for the kids, whatever. I feel like they could do more of that. But I'm not like mad at them that they don't. I just think it would be cool if they did more of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's been, at least in these past couple of years, it's been good that some, at least what I've seen is some of the fans of VFriends are also employees of VFriends, and so often you end up with somebody that does work for them that just happens to be at that event, but it's more of a luck and chance, right? It's not a scheduled official thing or whatnot, right? So as it grows, it needs to go farther. You're a little lucky. I'm on the West Coast, so even those unplanned events have been a little less over here, which I'm hoping to see grow. And we're starting to see that where they're starting to have some presence over here, but definitely for the first while it was very New York based, which is where VFriends is. So makes sense. But
And to your point, I'm surprised it's not more going on in New York. Like I'm in the heart of it, right? And
right,
sometimes it's still like, where we at?
what's going on?
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I could imagine even further out that it's like
Yeah.
more of that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So when did you start? Let's talk about you and Alien Inks, Alien Traits. When did you start getting into that?
Alien Inks I got into when I was in college, and I went down to Lark Street in Albany, and there was a street fair, Lark Festival, and Lark Street is like the hippie, kind of fun
Yeah.
street,
New
so to
age kind of.
speak,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you're gonna get your incense and your rolling papers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and I made a beeline for this psychic there that I just was going to initially for a reading, and he didn't tell me this at the festival, but he gave me a reading there that made me think like, yo, I gotta talk to this guy again. Like he just like he really like activated me, or like had an effect on me from what he said. Like I don't remember the specifics of that first conversation, but he just kind of was locking in on me, not enough for me to be 100% sure it was real, but not anywhere near enough for me to say, yeah, that was BS. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had like seen some people like that before, and some of them I thought like, yeah, nah, you know what I mean, like right away. And this guy was the first guy where I thought like, wait, whoa, like is he doing something? Is he
Yeah.
doing something, or is he just better at BS than everybody else? Or did he do something?
Yeah.
Is he doing some magic, some psychic
Right.
magic?
Right. Yeah.
So I went back to him, and in one of the, I went back to him several times, but in one of the first kind of early times where I was still kind of trying to judge him, he's like, you have this alien language inside of you. It's trying to escape and express itself. The world needs to have your alien language as part of it. You need to create an outlet so it could be expressed and exist. And you're meant to be an artist. And I had never seen myself as an artist. I had seen myself as a writer. So I was like, It's like I'm like language. You're kind of like with me on the language. Maybe English language. I'm an English
Right.
major kind of thing. Maybe you're
Yeah.
a little off, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I did like the alien thing because I always felt like an outsider growing up, and sometimes I would imagine that I was an alien, like a human-looking alien or an alien soul maybe in a human body, and that's how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And that like one day they would come and pick me up so that like I didn't have to be a part of my family. I could be with like
Yeah.
my real family, not the one I didn't like growing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And so I liked the alien idea, but I didn't relate to it genuinely at the time. And I'm like, look, the closest I got to being as an artist is like sometimes I just doodle like I don't know squares and like triangles, do little like geometric stuff, in the side of my notebook when I'm supposed to kind of be taking notes. Sometimes I just space out. I said no one would ever want to see that. He goes, no, no, that's it. He goes, that's it. Trying to turn into something else. He goes, you have to like develop that. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, you haven't seen it, dude. It's literally sucks. He's like, no, 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 you have to. And he's so convinced, and this is where he sells me. He takes out a canvas and a tube of black acrylic paint and hands it to me. Now I had only given him like $30, $40 for the reading. And I'm like kind of trying to do the math in my head. Like I hadn't been into Michael's recently, but like I'm thinking like, yo, this has got to be at least like $20. Like I just gave you $35. You just gave me back $25. Like you can't do this with everybody. You also don't have this much inventory in here. Like I don't think you give a canvas and a tube of paint and tell exactly this to everyone. So
Right.
like
Right.
you're doing something with me that seems sort of unique, and like also it's like negatively affecting your business model if I don't come back. So like maybe it's a long con to get me to come back, but it's also like to me I'm thinking, but this might freak me out. Like this isn't like a guaranteed play,
Right.
This is like this weird risky thing.
Yeah.
So these are all the factors I'm considering, and ultimately I decided like, bro, this guy gave me a canvas and paint. Like I'm not gonna throw it out. I got nothing to lose, and I gave him $35 to tell me that. So
Yeah.
let's fill this thing up.
Yeah.
And I filled up the first one and I painted it with the black acrylic, and then like I said, I really wasn't into the painting, and part of the reason I never got into painting, even though my dad and my grandpa and people in my family like are artists or artists on the side or have artistic ability, is because I was never. My hands are a little shaky sometimes, even with the handwriting, and I was never good with the paintbrush. It would always just like not be able to do the straight lines and make it look like what I wanted to look like. Best I could do was pen. So I use these gel pens to write on the black acrylic, and then draw that way, like the way I do in my notebook. Even though it was acrylic paint, I started with ink. It was always ink, or I don't know if it's ink in a gel pen, but to me it was ink. It's
Yeah.
a pen,
Yeah.
gel ink.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the birth of Alien Inks. From that day forward, it just felt good. I liked the way it looked on the canvas, and I kept going forever kind of after that. And the point where it became a clothing brand was when one of my friends was like, bro, like, we were like, I think in our 20s, we are like, bro, we're like 25. Like, we don't have fucking houses. Like, who are you selling these canvases to? Someone's going to
Yeah.
put this in their room instead of like a fucking poster of a chick that's like hot. And I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah.
bro, like, can you get it on like a shirt or something or like a towel or some shit? Like, don't you think like someone would like buy it more? He goes like, I might buy it if it was like a shirt or something. He's like, I don't know if I'm like gonna buy a canvas, like, all due respect. And I was like, huh. It's like I wonder if I can do that somehow. And then I figured that out. So that's how we came full circle.
That's cool. That's cool. So now you've got it so that you have the website, which I'll put links up later, but you have the website where you can buy certain products with some of the artwork on it, right? Yeah. Yeah. What type of products are you currently doing?
All sorts of products, towels, t-shirts, hoodies, shorts, bathing suits, leggings are popular, like gym style leggings, yoga pants, backpacks, candles, and then I also do have canvases available and wall prints and posters. So, and I'm probably leaving out like another 50 things. It's so many things I can't name them
Yeah.
all at the top of my head. So I have a lot of variety. I could put any art on any product that's available. I have a print on demand catalog. It gets created the moment you order it. So there's no hassles with inventory for me. And it is relatively quick. even though it is print on demand. One question you asked I didn't answer fully. Alien Traits. Alien Traits is the part of Alien Inks that was inspired by VFriends, where I wanted to do a large collection of my art to get over 100 images for uploading to products on the website. So I needed some sort of kind of container or vessel for that. And then it was like, how do I do as many positive and aligned actions as I can at once? So it became, this is also my expression of passion for V Friends, where I'm going to be inspired by the traits, just the traits. In that way, I don't violate any IP because adaptable is everybody's word,
Yeah.
whereas adaptable alien is not.
Yeah.
Just inspired by the color schemes of the characters because they don't own that combination of colors. That's not an IP violation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just taking those two things, the colors and then the traits, forming my own definitions, with ChatGPT, and then writing these inscriptions, and then for each of the 251 characters. So I have 251 now different art images that I'm now working on loading up into the website. And I have this awesome collection. Like I love looking at it. Like it fills me with so much happiness. Like I look at it and I'm like 251. Like it was really hard. Like the time frame I gave myself, nobody made me do that but me. So I could have taken longer, but I said I got to get it done in this time. This is the pace I'm going at, and it was rough for me to put myself under that. But the reward is I just could go to OpenSea and just scroll, and there's 251 of my creations, and I like all of them, and
Yeah.
so that's Alien Traits
Nice.
within Alienate.
Nice. So now with the completion of Alien Traits, which is you recently did, which is great. I love seeing that I think you did it well too, as you went through those blocks of getting a certain set done at a time, which really got it to the finish line. I think that's the part that's challenging. Is even when I talk to anybody about NFT series, it's like, oh, I got to do the whole thing and I got to get it. It becomes this monster, that somebody's trying to complete, right? And then you take it in pieces and you go, okay, well, now that I've done these sections and I'm jumping these in, and motivates you to see, even one or two sales, even as you're going along, that you're going along and seeing that motivation of it going through. So now you're able to take those and say, okay, I can move those onto products. And then if somebody, which I think is great, because if somebody's looking at, Fearless Fairy is an example, right? Fearless Fairy, somebody's a fan of Fearless Fairy, they can go and find a shirt that has those colors and represents Fearless Fairy in Alien Traits, but not necessarily have to wear, like I have the, Notorious Ninja shirt on, 555 shirt, but I could go pick up a Notorious Alien Trait shirt that matches that same color and scheme and still be kind of representing VFriends, but also representing your brand too, which is really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm excited to see that next step of those crossing over and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Cool. So what do you think? Do you think? I mean, some of my theory is there's a lot of creative people in VFriends. As I've got into VFriends and started to see more people, there's a lot of creatives, right? People that are really interested in doing things. Whether it's creative in art or creative in business or whatnot, it seems like there's a lot of people. And I don't know if that comes from, and you can tell me your thoughts on it, if it comes from a lot of people being a Gary VFriend first, and then, so that kind of leads into that with the VFriends. But I see a lot of people doing that, which I think is a great, in a sense, I think it goes back and strengthens the brand itself, in my opinion, because you have people that are, sure, like your art reflects VFriends, but also kind of enhances VFriends in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
of
guys
course.
see that? Yeah.
It's like the only sort of fine art VFriends related art collection that I'm even personally aware of. I don't know anyone else who's done anything like this yet. So
Yeah.
I think it's the first one. If
Yeah.
not, if it's one of the first for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really cool, and I'm curious to see more and more things come out. Even when VFriends started to have some of the art cards and stuff, where people started even having with the Topps Chrome, right? You kind of had people drawing cards. DJ was doing it for his side and stuff. You're starting to see more and more creativity come out from a brand. You know what I mean? So what do you think? What do you think is your next step in that? In alien traits and continuing on. What's your goal with it?
So one of the next steps for alien traits is creating a book of alien traits where it'd be 251 pages. Each page has the image and then the written inscription. And the idea is it's like a coffee table book for for anybody, but then especially for people within the V Friends community. You have it sitting out. Maybe you have an event, someone's talking to somebody, you're the third wheel in a conversation. You sit down, have a sip of your drink, see this book on the table, you pick it up, start flipping through. You don't, maybe you didn't realize what it was at first, and you're like, wait, like this is kind of familiar, like, and you're like, oh, these are the traits, and then you're reading them, and you're like, oh, it's pretty cool, like this is like little definitions of each of the traits with the colors, and then you just have this moment of like it clicks, and then maybe it's a jumping off point to like talk about my definitions of the trait. Maybe you love my definition and what I put there and you want to share that with people and it helps you define it for yourself, or maybe you totally disagree and it's like, yo, why did Kowski thinks adaptability is this? Like this is what he put for this? Like this is not what adaptability is to me. This sounds rigid to me. And then, maybe it's a little conversation starter. That's the next step for alien traits. Another step is that Gary has told me to email him about alien traits.
Yes.
I don't know when he's going to read it. He said he would do his best to get around to reading it on his next flight. I got to figure out when he's like flying, I guess, and then maybe I'll
Yeah.
resend it to him before
Yeah.
the flight. Like I got to
Yeah.
start thinking like, okay, he asked for the email. I sent the email. I'm not expecting that it's just going to necessarily be like that one effort and done for it to get him to read it just because he said it. Because I know from experience and other people going, Gary, you told me to do this, and you never got back to me. And he's like, well, did you like reach out again? And they're like,
Yeah.
no. And he's like, the fuck's wrong with you? So I'm like,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna have to reach out to him again. But just seeing what he thinks about it, I don't actually have a pitch. I didn't write a pitch in the email. I just want to see if he likes it. And I imagine I don't have to pitch an idea to Gary V if he understands what it is and he likes it. He'll I would imagine would have an idea. I told him the next thing I want to do is this book, and then I'm working on that. Just so he has an idea of what I'm thinking. Maybe he wants to, I don't know, give some away. Maybe he wants to be part of it. Maybe he wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get him to look at it. I think
Yeah.
he'll like it. I feel confident that he's going to like it. I don't have certainty around like what does that mean that he's going to like it? Is it like thumbs up I like it, or is it like we should do something together I like it?
Yeah.
Obviously trying to manifest the latter, but we shall see. Next step is just trying to figure out how to get him to read it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's great, and I think, if anything, you're right on in the fact that you think, I always hear people say, "Oh, I emailed Gary and never responded," or "Oh, I sent him a DM and never responded." Well, you got to do it like 400 times, honestly.
Right. You got to do it until you get
the
it
right time. Yeah, exactly. You got to hit the guy at the right time because he's getting hit with a million things, and it's like you take that opportunity and run with it. But I did like that we were in a space last weekend or the weekend before. And he actually called you out in it, that he was saying, hey, you guys should check out his stuff. So it's in his, like, that first conversation you had 5 days before, like, that brought it back in his brain to could then mention you again in another space, And so I think you're exactly right. It's like his brain's starting on it. You just got to bring it back to his light in the front of him. So
I'm in
it's
there.
like, hey, get in there, So, yeah, so that's pretty exciting. I mean, it's definitely... I think it's, for us that are more familiar with you and know the alien traits, it's obvious. Like it's a good combo to it. It's very, it fits the same model and whatnot. And I think he, whether he gets, grabs one or talks about them somewhere or collaborates in some way would be awesome. So I agree with you. That's pretty cool. And I definitely see him jumping back in the NFT space a lot this past 30 days or so. I mean, it's definitely been it seems like it's a 2026 goal of his to jump in a lot more of these spaces that I've seen.
Yeah. He's all over this year. I love to see it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, what do you think about Veefriends NFT series? Do you think they're going to do another one? Do you think they're sticking to what they have for a while?
I don't think about it at all because my thought is that it's so far out that it doesn't even fit into my headspace. He's mentioned that his plan would be to do it on a different chain like Base or like a layer 2 with like no transaction fees and smoother transactions. Base also has that social media app layer to it. So he's toyed with the idea. I just he's not going to do it, I don't think, and from what I've heard him say, until the demand for it is so high that it's like silly not to do it, where it like really makes sense. I don't think he's going to do it when people feel like it's a cash grab, and I feel like people are going to scream, maybe punch out their windows so they could scream to their neighbors that it's a cash grab if he does it soon. Could be
Yeah.
wrong, but that's
Yeah.
my genuine sentiment, and I think he knows that, and I think it's not advantageous. Like he doesn't need a cash grab. He doesn't. That's not. You know what I mean? That's not the like blockade. It's like, oh, I don't have enough cash and I have no other way to get it besides
Yeah.
Series 3. So
Yeah.
so for those reasons, I think it's not going to
Be a
happen.
while.
Um, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Very true. Very true. Now, how about a Kowski Alien Traits Tops card? Would that be a good one? That would be a good
That
collab.
would be great. They should definitely include me
I'm just
in
putting
the
it in the universe now
2026
today. You know.
community artist, dude. I'm right here, Gary. If you're watching this,
That's right.
I'm happy. I'm happy to be a community artist.
That's
I
right.
got you. You don't have to look very far. Don't stress yourself out. Just look in your own backyard. I got you.
There you go. There you go. Traits are there already, so that's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely see that. And then as far as so part of my idea is I've done a couple IP builds in my past, and I've always seen that the fans of the brand, right? Because Gary always says IP, 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 right? But the fans of the brand are really what move the brand forward. Because obviously, without fans, you're not gonna have anything, right? And so what I've seen in that is that, and this is kind of my thesis is that it's the art, the fan art, which I would say Alien Traits sits on its own, but it's also fan art, right, in a sense, right? And so
Totally.
you know, I'd say, I think there's a lot of that is going to perpetuate the business as well. So is there anybody else you see in the community, community quotes, that is doing fan art or doing things in to help, in a sense, grow VFriends itself?
Dirt Dog has amazing fan art. I
Yeah.
love it. I was sharing his canvases. Those really impressed me. I love that. I might have to. I don't know what he charges for the canvases. I was asking him. He also does custom cards, and I was thinking, maybe I'll start with that. Probably a little bit cheaper. Because I like his stuff. I like what he's doing. Um, who else? Community. Oh, Tim Livingston, community artist. Um, There's another guy that does cards, but I forgot his name. I feel like it's like G3G Creative or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'm
No,
messing up. Probably.
I'm horrible on people's names sometimes, yeah, because it's like they have all this different stuff. But yeah, there's definitely a few.
Yeah. Um, Chelsea Messer has been MIA for a long time. She was doing some art related stuff for a bit. Um, Clay Ryan,
Yeah,
he's been doing some draw or die every day, so his art's been developing.
yeah, yeah,
I don't think I've seen him do a ton of VFriends art. We should request it from him.
yeah. I think we got to make him do something. We got to get him to doing a few.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Josh Josh Courage got the strong silverback.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's a good one.
But I'm probably leaving people out. Clem,
Yeah,
I think Clem House art. I'm gonna feel so bad messing up people's names. But I see him doing a bunch of stuff. Brofit was doing his little thing on the
oh yeah, the kind of weights and all that stuff. All the
gym art on the
Yeah.
he was drawing on the series twos.
yeah.
Um,
And I've been
yeah,
kind
so-
of
I'm gonna leave people out. That's enough.
yeah, I know. There's so many. There's so many. That's kind of my point. There's
There's
like
a
so
lot.
many. There's so many out there that are creating stuff, which I think is great. You know, and that's the other piece is the IP, and you mentioned it in the beginning. Like,
Wait, one more.
yeah,
Dad Bob. Dad Bob has been on the
yeah,
outskirts of the community a little bit lately. Um, you know, I was going through the same thing, feeling connected, disconnected.
yeah,
Still a
yeah,
free friends though, still love him, still my friend. But he's working on something I thought was really cool, which is a comic book series based around chess and his art.
yeah. Okay.
That's one of the cooler things I saw someone working on. So that's out there too.
Yeah, and you mentioned, in on the IP side, the not crossing into their IP or whatnot, like trying to do that, and I think it's always a where you're not copying them in a sense, right? And I think it's always a challenge when you see, even Marvel, Disney, everybody. There's always a lot of fan art, right? And it's just finding that balance of, you know, covering the IP or not covering the IP and challenging that. I think Viewfriends has been pretty liberal and open on that for the most part, right? I mean, they definitely have some strict rules, but
VFriends is one of the strictest IP violation persecuting people who violated
yeah,
projects that I'm aware of.
yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know what gave you the impression they're liberal about it. What the law is that anything personal that's non-commercial is just allowed. They
yeah,
can't do anything. So
yeah, yeah,
I've made plenty of personal items. I've given away items that are actually the VFriends characters, but it's I didn't sell it and I didn't use it as an advertisement to promote something I'm selling or commercially in any way under the law.
yeah,
So they allow that because they have no choice whether really to allow that or not. It's just legal.
right, right,
Anything that anyone is selling though that actually uses their IP, my understanding is they're pretty firm on reaching out to them and getting
shut
that
down.
shut down.
Yeah,
If it's like actually selling, like I remember in the beginning, like people were like listing things that no one was buying that weren't even like people were like screenshotting like the NFTs and they were like not even high quality images and
yeah,
you could tell they were like not you know
yeah,
what I mean, like it wasn't
yeah,
like a high resolution
yeah, yeah,
screenshot and then someone
yeah,
tried to put that like on socks and
yeah,
like I don't know like people were like are they going to tell these people to take these sites down and I don't remember the exact response but like I don't think anyone ever bought any of that stuff and they very quickly just evaporated. So either they did shut those down or like maybe they ignored them thinking like yeah that's not even a real
yeah.
that's
Not gonna
like
happen.
yeah all right buddy
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Go ahead.
But anyone who's like kind of crossed that line, I don't remember any specific stories or names in
Yeah,
my head, but I just feel
yeah,
like I've heard people say like, "Oh yeah, VFriends reached out to this person, or they reached out to me and like gave me a little tap and said, hey, you could do this, but not this,'
yeah,
so to speak."
yeah. So it seems like they're at least clear on what their guidance is. It seems
They're
like.
clear. They're
Yeah,
definitely clear.
that's good. That's good. That's good. That's a challenge as a brand because you see stuff not specifically the knockoff stuff, but you definitely see stuff in all the Marvel, Disney, Pokemon, everybody. So it's got to be a bit of a challenge for the brand. Good. Well, I appreciate you taking time with me. I just wanted to shoot the shit and talk about Alien Inks and Alien Trades, which are both amazing projects, and I'm excited to see it all come together. Anything else you would add on the idea of VFriends and art and where VFriends is heading?
What I think about where VFriends is heading in the long term is a place where each character kind of has its own community, so to speak, and following. And I don't know how far off we are from there, but I also think there will be like subsections and sub communities and subgroupings of characters. Like we have an upcoming comic with dogs coming out,
Okay.
and I believe the tease is that they're going to be like spies, like they're spy dogs, like a Charlie's Angels kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a themed grouping of all the dog characters. So
Okay.
people who love dogs,
Yeah.
and that might become its own dog pack or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
you want to refer to it
Yeah.
as. And then there's another world with impeccable Enostronet perhaps and adaptable alien and adventurous astronaut.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that stage where you're not where VFriends has become so massive that it's like almost maybe harder to connect with the fact that you love VFriends than it is to find the people who love the VFriends you love and want to go to the alien stuff and the space, whatever events and that they have their own, everything around either those characters or the group or probably even more the groupings of the characters before it's just one character. But like those kind of themed activations is something I would like to see going forward. And then obviously one day when there's a theme park, there's going to be a V World, there's a Disney World. If he's doing, it's just a matter of time and success. And then you see the parks, like how Disney has like the Magic Kingdom, and the Jungle one. I don't know how the layout is, but
Yeah, yeah,
people know what I'm talking about. They got the different layouts.
yeah,
So same thing with VFriends. The Sea World, the underwater characters.
yeah,
It's right there. It's you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I could taste it. I could feel it. It's just a
yeah.
matter of time. People don't talk about it because it's probably further off than I'm thinking or like than can imagine, but I think about it all the time still.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely can see it, and you have a good point of the different. When you think of how big like something like Marvel is, where you have the fans that are, all the Black Panther fans, or all the X-Men fans, or all that stuff that kind of becomes the subgroups and the where or like Daredevil's coming out just they're on Netflix soon, and so that whole there's a whole Daredevil fans that are specific to that. Yeah, so I can see where you start to get those niche groups that are loving each piece of it. So that should be interesting. I actually didn't know about the dog comic book, so that's a I don't know if I had heard that one, so that's pretty cool.
I feel relatively confident I'm correct about that, but not financial advice. And if I'm wrong, I'm acknowledging that I might be now.
It totally makes sense though. I mean, you take those groups because there's so many characters out there, right? I mean, just so many different ones that how are you gonna, how are you gonna throw the, the ostrich and the, all these different animals and then all the sea animals and stuff. So that totally makes sense.
African safari, the
Yeah,
logical lion, reflective rhino,
yeah,
the
yeah,
cheetah, charming cheetah, like trying to think of what animals. Oh, genuine giraffe, like
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yep,
Like
yep,
little safari world action.
yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Gorilla in there maybe, or no, probably in the
Yeah,
jungle world, safari world. I
yeah,
just see it.
yeah. So many possibilities. I can't wait. I can't wait because it's the fact that we're only on comic book 10 and knowing where they can all go. It's gonna be interesting.
And something else I'm really excited with that relates to VFriends and the art is the way they're incorporating the NFT Series 2 scenes
Mm-hmm.
into scenes in the comic book that I
Yes.
don't think everyone is necessarily picking up on. But they're really starting to incorporate those like heavy. Like the
Yeah.
comic books are filled with the scenes. And then I'm also wondering eventually I think there has to be activations around certain scenes in the Series 2 NFTs, which isn't the focus right now, but Hologram House, the Icy Ice Cave, the underrated Underworld, like those are way lower print or numbered editions of those scenes.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting to see like what is that art going to represent and what will it represent for people who hold the NFTs? Like, what are they going to do with those sorts of crossovers?
Yeah.
Also, sorry,
Yeah.
you asked me what else, and now my mind's
Yeah.
like firing
Keep
up.
it on going, man. You're good.
Very, very excited to see what are they going to do for Topps Chrome next year, because last year it was like you could do a scene swap or a character swap for the
Mm-hmm.
manga pose if you had the resting pose. So are they going to do that again this year? Are people going to start stocking up on resting poses, or are they going to do a little switcheroo, keep you guessing, and it's going to be like the strategizing pose
Yeah.
this year? But you
Yeah.
could still do the manga swap, or
Yeah.
can you do no manga swap? Will it be like a scene swap, and that was like limited edition manga swap? Those are the only times
Yeah.
you get manga characters.
Yeah.
That's a big art question. I feel like do all of the characters manga swap, but if you don't, that makes the ones you did it for super rare.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
what will they do?
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. And how many are we gonna see in the next series, right? Because we don't
Right.
know how many.
Because it's 3 years, right? And they already did, I think, 100.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
he
there's
was talking.
251 characters. So if
Right.
they did 100 a year, the last year they'd only have 51. So
Yeah.
like, do we see 49 new characters in the
Right.
last year?
Right. Some new
Do
ones.
they do
Throw that
like
in.
do they break it half and half? Like, do we see less characters next year? Can't really
Right.
imagine less next year.
Right. Right. Because you
But
still
then
have
what
to
would they
keep.
do at the third year? So
Right, and you
that's
still have to keep
also
the original. You still have to keep some of the original ones too. Roll over, that'll be the new. That'll still remain. So that's a lot of that's a lot of characters in one set. For if they add another 100, right? So,
wait. What do you mean roll over?
well, I mean, you have 100 now, right? That was in the first one. They're
You
gonna
think they're
show.
going to take some of the ones in this set and put them in the next set?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, could you imagine? Because they said first run, right? All of them have that little first.
Can they do that? I thought that wasn't allowed.
I think you can let them roll over. I mean, you got to be able to. I mean, if somebody
Wouldn't that be second edition now?
Yeah, but they have that.
So you think some will be second edition?
I think some are going to be second edition and some are going to be first edition. So you're going to have this mix of, because I mean
that could be an answer.
Yeah,
that could be how they fill some of the
spots.
Right.
Yeah,
because it can't be 100, 100, 100.
Yeah, because I can't imagine some of the really popular characters not being around again. That's like.
I think it's not allowed. Part of me still thinks it's not allowed.
Crazy. That's crazy.
What you're saying sounds like a good answer, but something inside me goes, "That's not allowed," and I'm like, "Why?" It goes, "It's not allowed."
Yeah. But then that's Gary. Gary would be like, "Well, we got to change it for me, and we're going to change the rules. We're going to change the rules for me, right?"
Maybe it is allowed. I have no idea where that's coming from. It's just it was like this underlying assumption I didn't realize I was making until you said that.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But I think that's why you put the first run on the bottom of them, so that you can bring them in the second time, but just you'll mark them differently.
Right, they'll have to mark them if they do.
It's a different card. Yeah, it's a different card by saying second, right? And so
same thing they did with the Ninja. The Ninja that got passed out at Comic-Con is first edition. Yep. The ones they already did that. I guess you're right.
Yeah,
they did roll over. Ninja rolled over.
Yep.
Not allowed. They literally did it already. What am I saying?
But I think if it didn't have that little first or second on there, then you couldn't put it in again, right? Because you only have a set number. But it's a different, it's a different card. It's a totally different card in that sense.
Interesting.
I mean, even though it's the same card, but it's a different card.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It'll be really interesting. Really interesting to see where it goes from there. It's gonna be fun, and that's not far off. That's a couple months. I mean, we're not gonna, we're gonna go through the stickers next month, and then spectacular stickers, and then.
Do we have dates on Topps Chrome?
I want to say it was rough June, May, June.
June?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I thought
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I think it's.
Was it March last year? Where am I getting March from?
I don't know. No, I can't remember. I can't even remember now. Was it March?
I want to say yes. I want to say it was March last year.
I don't know. Yeah, time flies. Like I think in Veefriends world, time is like totally different than reality. Sometimes.
Well, if you read Special Edition A, you'll know that only the third dimension contains time.
That's
the fourth dimension is imagination, and the fifth dimension is imagined universes, both of which are outside of space and time. So,
it's too much to think about. I don't know.
I hear you.
Oh, man. Well, good. Well, I appreciate you talking to me. I mean, I think we covered a lot. I'll be putting this together this next week, and then I'll put it out, and we'll put some links to Alien Inks and Alien Traits, because I'm encouraging everybody to jump into Alien Traits before Gary does. If there's, not financial advice, but once Gary hits it, you'll be late. I'm saying get in there now while you can, right?
Yeah, only 251 pieces, so.
Yep, right on.
Thanks for watching the Face Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe.